MPC3 Standalone and the SP-404MKII. Is it a match made in heaven? I think so. But I'm not going to use it the way that most people use it. Right now I got a sample from the O.T.G files. You can get it from the link below. You can also hear it on my channel. I made this sample utilizing the OP1 and the Verse Lab and the MPC. You know, I'm making my own sample so I could show y'all how to sample, bro. Because every time I sample something, they try to take my channel down. I'm not even a big YouTuber, man. So what I'm doing now is I'm chopping my own sample up in the SP-404. I have the SP-404 going into the MPC, as you can see. Right now, I'm going to set it up. What's going on, guys? It's your brother O.T.G. The O.T.G's for Overtime Grind. Hardly seen, but I'm always around. And today I got the SP-404 going into the MK2. I mean the Live 2. And right now we just chopped the sample down from the O.T.G files. I believe I have a video up of me making it, man. I just be making music. Right now we're setting up the mute groups on the SP-404 so that way when I play one pad, it turns off the other pad. You know, we getting all set up. And we're gonna run it down. I have the OP1 field feeding into the SP-404, which is going into the Live 2. So now I'm just going to load up my Smackers kit, which is available below. You can get that. We're going to go to the drums and the sounds menu, and I'm going to load up the Smackers kit. I'm going to run through it one time, check the volumes. Yeah, we're going to go through, check the volume, go hit our track edit, hit our sample screen 2, go turn the volume up so we could just get started. I show a lot of different videos because I like making stuff from scratch. That's kind of my thing. You know, but I started like everybody else as a sample producer. You know what I mean? And really all you need is sample, bass, and drums. And the MPC3 setup right now with the drums on one track. And, you know, the MPC samples too. But a lot of people have an SP-404 and some of the sample capabilities, the effects you can add, all of the different things, you know, makes it a great sampler. So what I did is just lay my clap down and then I doubled out my sequence. We're not going to waste no time. I believe I'm in 156, 160, somewhere up there. We're going to go ahead and record this in. I'm in zoom mode right now because once you get the vibe, or I feel like sometimes once you got the sample, you gotta hurry up and lay it down. The more that you sit on it, the more that you start to overthink, and the more problems you have. You know, the way that I make beats, if I sit for 2 hours, we might make 15 beats. You know what I mean? Because I try to go with the first thing that I hear and work it out from there and just keep evolving the process. So right now we have this. I'm telling you now that I'm probably going to put a filter on it, but I don't want to do all that work now. So what I'll do is probably just clone it later. You know, do some housekeeping so when we get to our mute groups, our mute screen, trap mutes, you know, we could go in there and have everything lined out. So right now I'm turning on my full level, my half level, and I'm holding my note repeat. I switched it to an eighth so it'll play a little slower. what I like to do is play my eighth note hi-hats in first, and then I'll come back in and hit it with the 16th notes in certain places, maybe the 32nd. I talk to my students a lot about hand positioning on the MPC, using your left hand to do the pads and handle the buttons, and your right hand to handle the screen and kind of operate. That will give you great efficiency on the MPC. It's not something people talk about enough. So now we're going to add that in. You know, we're just going to use our track mutes, our pad mutes on our drums, and come back and kind of tailor our drums. I turn my full level on for my kick. And we're going to use the note repeat to get our kick in some pockets that we probably wouldn't play. You know, I got some 808s on the Smackers kit already ready. You can hear it's a bell or some other sounds. I made this kit so that way you could just open up a kit and get started. You know what I mean? Sometimes we could spend a lot of time on the drums, but moments like these where we just want to chop the sample and get busy, you go load that Smackers kit up and you know it's going to smack. So using the note repeat on the snare. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment. So now let's go ahead and get a bass together. We're gonna go a little Sub Factory up. It's one of my favorite plugins from the new plugin series. I always talk to people about, make sure you still tap in with your old plugins. Just because you get a bunch of new stuff, don't just get focused on the new stuff. I know that they dropped the Native Instruments Play series and they're super dope. But as producers, you know, we also got to think about the wave of sound that's being used and a bunch of people using the same sounds. And so once you start getting in that thought process, you know, sometimes it's always good to pivot or rotate through your sounds regularly. That's why I always change the pitch and do certain things to my drums, or you never see me really operate utilizing preset drum, like preset templates or something like that. Templates are good when you first start, don't get it twisted, but templates are also a way to lock you into a certain sound. If you're new and you're trying to find your sound and you make a fire beat, template that joint and keep making it till you get what you got. But if you've been doing it for a while, just go through them sounds and find new ones all the time. All right, we got our 808 laid down. Let's throw something in there from the OP1 field. So essentially what we did is just run audio tracks in. So our sample is an audio track. This bell, the sound that I'm about to play, it's an audio track. So we have two audio tracks, a drum track, and our Sub Factory. Always try to keep mental note of what all you have in your memory. Because something like this is one of the reasons why you might sample your sample in versus importing the whole sample in and then having that huge sample in the memory, or having to purge unused samples or a bunch of other stuff. You can have a smaller file in the memory, which allows you to make more beats on more sequences. That's if you utilize the one sequence method like I do, you know. Now let's go over here to our track mutes. I looped it out to 64 bars. We're about to do it now. So we're going to double the length of our sequence. So essentially we have a 64 bar loop playing. Now that we got that laid out, we're going to turn on our automation and let's play it in. I still want to do this with my filter. For all of you trap mute people, if you notice at the top of the screen, you have 2 tabs right there. Right now I have my tab on audio for the trap mutes. Maybe the next video I'll show you what it does when you utilize events. But right now I'm chasing down the idea. You know, so we're trying to get to the idea. Mind you, when I do it the one sequence method, I can always go in, list edit, erase all automation, you know, and redo it. I could copy this one sequence, double it out, make it as long as I need. So there's a lot of reasons why I utilize this method, because this helps me get the first rendition or idea of the beat down, and we can always come back and play over it. So, you know, I like to get to a certain point and have some sort of arrangement that I'm working with, so I know where I'm going and what I'm choosing. Some days we could just stack sound on sound. Some days we gotta get 4 tracks down, then we gotta get some arrangement to this thing to figure it out. Shout out to the machines with weird workflows like the OP1 Field, the Yamaha C-Track, the SP-404, things of that nature that make you get better and more efficient through limitations. You get on something like the MPC and it feels unlimited with MPC3, that's for sure. So what we're going to do now is, now that we have a basic layout of the beat, what I want to do is do some old school hip hop and add a filter, take my sample and just switch it to a filter. So what I tried to do first is clone the track, but that wasn't possible, and copy over all the info. So I erased that track. Now what I'm going to do is bounce it to an audio track, because what we need is, we need 2 independent audio tracks of the same sample. Why? Because on one sample, what I'm going to do is add a filter, and on the second sample, I'm going to leave it the same. And then what we're going to do is go to trap mutes, and in our trap mute screen, we're going to alternate between the non-filtered and the filtered sample. So again, this becomes possible because I have I sampled the send from my SP-404MKII. So now we have our second sample in there. It's on track 5. I'm going to name it filter sample. You know, and so then that way I can identify it. That's why we get better at our housekeeping. So we got that name, sample filter. We're going to go over and add an effect. So we're going to touch the name where it was at. We're going to switch to the effects tab, hit the plus button. And now I added the multi-band filter bank, but I don't think that's going to be the one. So I soloed the channel so I could try to get a good gauge or a good start of where I want this filtered sample to be. So the filter bank is cool, but what I want to do is just go with the old school filter. With the old school filter, we could go through, and now I'm just going to filter out. I'm going to turn the resonance up to make it give some of that, more of that ring, or that how it feels when you're standing outside the club or you're standing outside of a building and the music's playing. And for the record, I don't know what's going on with my camera, man. Like, it has a mind of its own. I don't know why the screen colors are looking that way, but we're gonna figure it out, man. Doesn't stop the information. All right, so now that we have that, you can hear what it sounds like playing with the beat. We know that we could doctor it. We know we could do some more work to it. So right now, what I'm doing is just messing with the filter and the resonance. And now I'm going to go over and mess with the boost. I'm going to boost it a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and add the granulator to it. By adding the granulator to it, it will give it a little bit more space so the song doesn't feel as naked as it does once we turn off the full sample. And now we have our part to switch to. So now we come back over here. We could try it a couple times. All right, let's stop it. Let's turn our automation back on. I don't like to play around too many times and audition too many times because you end up getting it right the first time and then your nerves will mess you up because you know you're recording, and then you'll jack it up 150 times. So once I decide that I like it a certain kind of way, I try to make the decision in my mind and keep track while I'm making the beat, like I told you earlier. And then I plan for it. I keep all that stuff in my mind while I'm going. So then that way, you know, we're focusing on moving forward and creating movement and getting done. One thing that we got to do is get beats done. I've always preached that. I'm saying it again in 2025. Get these beats done. All right. And you can see we do just a couple switches. It doesn't take a lot of automation, so it doesn't take all that to go in there and try to draw it in there or flip this or do this. You know, the path of least resistance. Part of this is made possible because we chose to sample in, so we probably still have a bunch of space in the memory. I should have went and looked, but I didn't. We still running this beat down. We still got other things that we need to do, so we got to stay focused. Right now, this is the Smackers kit. It's available in my store. That's how you can support the channel. This is the O.T.G files, which I just released. One special for the SP-404, one special for the MPC. It has these samples already in there ready for you to chop. On the SP, they're already chopped with a couple patterns, bunch of different drums. Check that out. So right now we went to the pad mute screen, and we're going to mute these hi-hats and that snare, maybe to clap a couple times. You can always utilize, say if you're in your track mute and you mess up and you don't feel like going and fixing the automation in the track or the list edit, what you can do is always draw over the automation by doing pad mutes. You get what I mean? That only works when you're doing it with a drum kit though. So remember that. You can always get more detailed with your drums. You just gotta think about it ahead of time and kind of plan for it. So right now we're recording that in. The MPC3 is cooking, man. Being able to sample right into your track is amazing. That's one of the things that I always loved about the SP-404 is that it has that same kind of methodology, being able to sample right to a pad. You know, you could do it in 2.15, but the ability to sample right to your beat while everything is going sampling in real time, and the whole way that audio tracks are enabled was the reason why I got my Akai Force. You know, so I'm super happy that this is one of the things that they brought in. You can see it opens a load of possibilities with any existing gear that you have. It can easily make the MPC become the leader of the centerpiece of your setup, you know. So right now I'm in the mix screen. You guys know I love the 4-band EQ. That's my joint right there. I think it sounds great. You know, I am going to start doing more videos in depth with mixing and what I'm listening for, and, you know, showing all kinds of stuff. Maybe we'll do some sample-based stuff, like right now, how you seen I chop those samples. You know, I definitely want to put something together for the Roland, for the SP-404 MPC owners, for sure. You know, I use my SP and my MPC. They go together. What you see on my table is my nucleus of my whole setup. There's a bunch of other gear that's not pictured, but this is I could walk around, I could put it in a backpack, I could travel with it, I could move around with it. I don't mind taking it. I work on all of these things by themselves. Like, this is my bread and butter. This is my tools of choice. You know, so we definitely could go more in depth of how I utilize these tools together and how I bring it all together inside of the MPC, how I switch the routing around, different stuff. But one thing for sure, two things for certain. This MPC3, give it a try. You know, so we just ran through a whole sample beat in about 20 minutes. That's what this session was. You know, 6 tracks, automation, double the track, made a filtered that joint out. You know, Tro's drums, got it all together. Sample from the O.T.G files, Smacker's drum kit, MPC3, SP-404MKII, OP1 field. Bro, we cooking. Keep going, keep practicing, keep trying. We here, we did another one. O.T.G.